Got started doing the club ball, AAU ball, and from there, did some Division I as an assistant, and then junior college as a head coach, and then spent the bulk of my career as a Division II head coach before going to the University of Cincinnati as an assistant, which was back home for me, and then coming full circle and coming back and spending a couple of years here in Arkansas coaching high school, before Coach Boyer offered me the position here. So yeah, my career has touched a little bit of everywhere.
How has that experience and those experiences crafted you to be where you're at right now?
Well, it's made me a big believer in that all experiences are valuable. The good ones, the bad ones, they're all valuable, and they're very different. I think today, 16 years into it, obviously I'm far different than I was when I was, back coaching in club ball or at Western Illinois, which was my first professional job. But, I think I have a little bit of a better awareness, of what's expected, and what your role is as a coach in a young person's life, and and where that kind of falls into their lives. This is obviously very important to all of us. It's how we pay the bills. It's our profession. It's our passion. But for the young kids, we sometimes lose sight of that. In the last 2 years, being around high school age students and junior high age students, you really get a good feel for where it is and their priorities in their lives. So I think that's going to really help.
Whether it was, JUCO, D2, even high school, how did being one chair over as the head coach, what insight does that give you to be now a guy, someone's top assistant?
When I went with Coach Hall to the University of Cincinnati, that was I'm not going to say a concern, but that was an unknown for me because I had spent so much time as a head coach. I didn't know how I was going to react, didn't know what was that going to be like, but I found myself really enjoying being in the chair right to his right. And you watch the game. It's certainly in game situations anyway. During the game, you watch it completely different. You're not nearly as emotionally involved with the game as you are when you're the head coach. You're not involved with the officiating and the, You're just really watching the game for itself. So you're able to make, what I think is valuable recommendations to the head coach just based on what you see. So I think that will be good. I think with me being a head coach for so long, and Coach Boyer been 12 years now, I think him and I can share a vision and go back and forth. And of course, my feelings aren't going to get hurt when ultimately we're going to do what his ultimately he wants to do. But I think being able to kind of share some experiences and some some knowledge and some opinions on that, I hope can help make the program better.
You guys have all sorts of connections, but what was your what did you know about him before actually getting over here?
It's funny. Coach and I would see each other on the road, and we would gravitate and visit, watch games together, talk in depth about things. But it wasn't like we were, so close that we were, really communicating other than when we saw each other. But obviously being gotten into the business at around the same time and following one another's careers, and both of us spending a great deal of time, in Arkansas in his case, or either in Arkansas or Memphis, in my case, we were able to see each other quite a bit and follow our careers. And my wife is obviously from over here, so just kind of following A-State was kind of something that, that we did anyway. But obviously me knowing Brian, made me follow a little bit more, and him having some, kids from Arkansas that I knew, maybe tried to recruit even at one point in time, I didn't know that much, but I found him to be far more entertaining, than I would have thought coming over here. And he's got a great mind for the game and a great vision for his program. I think that's what I've been more almost blown away with, is just the vision that he has for his program, and that he continues to try to change and upgrade. And even after 12 years, as the head coach here, he's still looking for ways to try to make things better. And he's very intellectual and visionary in that part. And that's the part that when you're just visiting on the road, you don't get to know about somebody.
Okay, so there's your perception versus reality of him. What was your perception of this program before you got here?
Even though that I paid attention, and like I said, we come visit, Pocahontas quite often, and we come to Jonesboro every now and again, I didn't really know what level of upgrades, the campus, has made, the facilities that we have, both in our program and both as an institution, probably were, I didn't realize, from afar, the upgrades that had been made. So I think my perception of Jonesboro itself and Arkansas State was one thing, but then the reality once I got here, was far different in terms of that. In terms of like the kids and the program, I followed their late run, last year, when they got hot at the end of the year and really started playing well, and the very little interaction that I've had so far with the kids, based on the timing of everything with our summer has been right on what I thought, and I know he's very excited. Coach is very excited about our future, both short term and long term, and I think I can, the little bit I've dealt with the kids, I can see why.
In the state before this, and been a head coach at the collegiate level in the state. Even at Cincinnati, with Jay Kelly Hall, who come from the Sun Belt, familiar with. I mean, how comfortable a situation is this for you? You walked in knowing a lot of people around this program and league.
It's really interesting because my wife is a big believer in things happen for a reason, and this happened for a reason. And like you said, whether it's Coach Insel at Middle or Coach Petrie at South Alabama, who was a dear friend of Coach Hall before he passed away. There are some personal connections to the league, including, Coach Boyer in the Arkansas State. Coach Foley at Little Rock obviously is the former coach at Arkansas Tech, so there are a lot. And this is very comfortable. And our recruiting basis is places that I'm used to recruiting, and, some coaches that are going to be familiar to me. And, for me personally, with my in-laws living, 45 minutes from here and being able to bring my kids around their grandparents, everything kind of fell into place, for me professionally, but also, for my family as well.
So how easy a sell was that at home? You said, hey, I got a job I'm going to take an interview for.
I'll tell you the funny thing, we were sitting at the house, and I told my wife that I had emailed Coach when I knew that the job had opened, and a couple of weeks had passed, and I honestly had kind of forgotten about it, and my phone rang one night, and it was, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and we were getting the kids bed, and the phone, and his name came up, and I just showed her the phone, and you should see the look on her face. It was like, because she, kind of knew why he was calling probably at that point in time, so it wasn't hard at all, and it certainly wasn't a hard sell, for the family in Pocahontas, that's for sure.
What do you again, limited exposure with the players at this point, but what do you think about this team, or what very early expectations do you have about what's coming up?
Well, I know being around them at camp, which was the most interaction that I've had, they seem to be a great group of kids. They were very interactive. They worked really hard. Their work ethic in that during that time was because that's not always the case. A lot of times you inherit and coach teams that their attitude at camp isn't very good because it's a hard week. They're still in class, they're still doing their workouts. With the strength and conditioning coach. So my expectations are high. From everything that I've talked to with Coach and Coach Sullivan, and Coach Larson, and a little bit of experience I have with watching the team play. I think we've got one of the better players in the league, and that's always a great starting point. With Nene, and I think there's some other experience, not a lot, but I think there's some critical experience. I think Coach is excited about the new kids, and I would have very realistic but high expectations for our team next year, and and I'm excited to be around them because they genuinely seem excited to be here and playing, and that's not always the case. I've coached kids and teams that it was really like pulling teeth to get them to do stuff, and they seem genuinely excited about being at Arkansas State and having pride that that they represent the university and our program, and wanting to finally get us, to the point where Coach, wants us, which is or actually in the NCAA tournament, and I think that they share that passion with him.
What are you going to bring philosophically? His approach to things, but you're going to be in that seat right beside him. What are you going to bring to his ear during the ball game or on the practice floor?
I don't know. That's a good question. I would like to think that just my experience and maybe what I would like to bring to him is just something more on a daily basis. Once we get into game situations, he's been doing it a long time, and there'll certainly be things that I suggest, given time and circumstance and things of that nature. But I look forward to the day-to-day interactions with him, and the practice preparation and the game preparation, and the trying to improve our team, and the skill development of our players. I mean, that's really what he's talked to me mostly about, is being able to really get in there and try to make our players the best they can be, and try to make our team the best, and help complement his, motion offense philosophy, with things that I've done in the past, and help complement his pressure man-to-man defensive philosophy with things that I've done in the past, to just try to, improve those things, not change those things, but, improve on the things that they've been doing, pretty well, the most of the time that he's been here. But use my experience and my philosophies to kind of complement that.
What did you know? What have you heard or learned about the fan base for the program here?
Well, I knew it was strong. I know what fan base that does follow, the women's basketball program is strong and boisterous. We played an exhibition game over here a few years back when I was the head coach at Arkansas Tech, and even in that exhibition game, I remember it was a Sunday afternoon, I believe. It was a pretty strong, boisterous crowd. Maybe not large, but it was good. And and believe it or not, I've over the years, you follow the program through the message boards and things like that. So I mean, I know that there is a strong contingent of people in Jonesboro that care about the women's basketball program, dearly. And I've had a chance to meet a few of those people, and they've been gracious and very nice to me, welcoming me here, but also wanting to know kind of the same thing, hey, Coach, what are you going to do to help us? And and that's a good thing. What I hope, and I know what Coach hopes, is we can take that nucleus of strong fan base and and keep spreading it, and so that our attendance continues to go up. And I know our part is to make sure that we bring a good product for them to watch. But hopefully we can do that.